Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I'm the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace. I am he who remains and also the master of the deceptive arts. And today I wanted us to discuss a topic that I think has been largely misunderstood and misrepresented by, quite frankly, our villains, the knee benders, and the counterparts. And the way that they've misrepresented today's topic is through their discussions of theology and morality, virtue, and principle. They have taken that altruism is in fact the superior way and have decided that this is the only way to salvation. Of course, it's not. I wanted us to have a level-headed and balanced conversation about greed and the truth of greed that I want you to see for yourself. Today, I hope to demonstrate, and not only just demonstrate, but to expose that greed has been completely misunderstood, misrepresented, and quite frankly, practiced in the wrong way. My ultimate hope is to prove that actually greed is, in its honest and purest form, good. But I don't want to just convince you through persuasion. I mean to also demonstrate it openly and let you come to the same deduction yourself, hopefully. When we talk about expression, through words, through diction, through vocabulary especially, which is really what I'm doing right now, right? I'm expressing ideas and philosophies to you through words. There are always two perspectives to consider when we talk about diction. These are called connotation on the one hand, and on the other hand, denotation. Denotation is the literal meaning of a word, what the word actually means. It is the definition of the word, right? And the combination there is the denotation and definition. Connotation, on the other hand, is the feelings and the emotions that a word evokes, the emotions that are associated with a word. You could use the word connection. Connotation, connection. The connection that people have with the word. For example, the connotation, the connection that people have with the word Hollywood is that of superabundant wealth, fame, tremendous fame and attention, celebrity, which can be a form of royalty, hero worshipping, glitz, glamour, all the things really that the counterpart loves and dreams about and hoped that they would one day achieve, and of course they never really do. That's why they put themselves out on social media and Instagram and that kind of thing to try and achieve at least an acumen of that type of celebrity and wealth, or with the hope of accessing that type of celebrity, wealth, glitz, glamour, fame, fortune, and attention, especially the attention. Simultaneously, the word Hollywood is actually a physical address. It is a location in a region somewhere in California in the United States. So on the one hand, it evokes the word Hollywood. On the one hand, it evokes the sensation of the celebrity life, the high life, the 0.1% life, which the counterpart just dreams about. Oh, they'd love nothing more than to be rich and famous. In fact, they'd love nothing more than to be rich for being famous. It's the ultimate dream for them, right? But on on the one hand it evokes that emotion, but on the other hand it's actually quite a simple and attainable thing. Anyone can go to Hollywood. I mean, absolutely anyone can go to Hollywood. No matter where you are in the world, you can get a visa to the United States, buy a plane ticket, book a hotel in Hollywood, and stay in Hollywood. But some people don't recommend that. It's not what it used to be. But it's accessible to you. Anyone can go to Hollywood. So a word can literally mean one thing, but evoke a completely different and opposite and often opposite feeling and emotion. Greed is one of those words that doesn't mean what you think it means and gives a feeling of something else. So the word greed denotes, or rather, it connotates negative feelings. Really, the feeling that people get when they think of greed is one of theft. When they say you are greedy, they imply that you have taken away from someone that was rightfully theirs, thereby increasing your share and decreasing theirs, which is theft. This is not what greed is. Let's define greed before we proceed. Greed is defined as, now listen to this definition. Listen to this definition and think of your own emotions and think of where your brain lands and what your brain absorbs and what it rejects. Let's read it. Greed is defined as an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or food. This is not theft. This is not taking from somebody else what is theirs to increase your own share. This is not what this definition says at all. It says that you have an intense, the word intense means strong and powerful, and selfish, inward looking. So you want something for yourself. So it's an intense desire to get something for yourself. And what is that something? It is wealth. So you want to have some money. You want to have more money than what you actually need to fix your problems. Isn't that normal? Isn't that what everybody wants? Doesn't everybody have a strong and inward looking so that they can make some money for themselves? The word power means to be respected and to be taken seriously. So when you say something, especially when you're not joking about it, that people take that in an earnest way. Isn't that what everybody wants? And the last one is food. Food. An intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or food. So you want some money, you want to be taken seriously, and you want some food, and you have an intense desire for that. I cannot see what is wrong with this definition. I cannot see how having a desire for money, for respect, and for food is anything other than human rights. This is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to have some money in their pocket. They want to be taken seriously and not disrespected everywhere they go, or discriminated, or marginalized, or overlooked. And everybody wants something to eat every single day. This is the definition of greed. This is not the same thing as what the theologians and the knee benders and the counterparts would have you believe is what greed is. It is an inherent need to survive and acquiring the things that you need for yourself to survive. But for the sake of clarity, I looked up more definitions of greed, but they're more or less the same. They're more or less the same. It says here, greed or greediness denotes an excessive, powerful, strong, extreme, very much desire for something, often more than one's proper share. Let me read this again. Greed or greediness denotes an excessive, extreme desire for something, often more than one's proper share. So let me give you a simple example. We have $10 and there's 10 of us. Exactly $10, not a figurative amount. We have $10 and there's exactly $10. Right? And there's exactly 10 of us, I beg your pardon. For us to share that money equally, we'd each get $1. But what if I need $5? What if I need the whole 10? What if I need $100? This $1 isn't really gonna do it for me. So I'm definitely gonna need more than the share that I've been given. You understand? So this is really what greed is. It's identifying that you need more than what you are being given. This is not a threat. This is not a theft. This is not a robbery. This is not an insult to anyone. Let me read it again. An excessive, extreme desire for something, often more than one's proper share. So if you're given something and you realize that you need more than this, you desire more than this, you want more than this, if you were born in a bad situation, in an unfortunate situation, impoverishment, and you desire more than that, more than what you've been given, that's greed. That sounds like ambition. Greed is ambition. It's trying to get out, it's trying to get better, it's trying to improve. That doesn't sound bad to me. This is not what the knee benders and the counterparts want you to hear. They want you to believe that greed is theft, when no, greed is the motivation you need to rise above your current circumstances, not their current circumstances. Remember, it's an intense and selfish desire for something. Selfish to look inward. I want something for me. I'm going to do the work so that I can get the things that I need. This is greed. This doesn't sound like a theft or a robbery or an insult. Let me read one more. I'm going to read one from theology itself. It says, greed in Roman Catholic theology, one of the 7 deadly sins, my goodness. Greed is defined as the immoderate love or desire for riches and earthly possessions. The immoderate love or desire for riches and earthly possessions. food, clothes, housing, transportation, electricity. These are earthly possessions. Now, you tell me, what are heavenly possessions? You know, I mean, just, you know, I have to ask this to the theologians. I have to ask this. What other possessions do we have other than earthly possessions? What exactly are heavenly possessions? Right? Because we've never seen them. We've never witnessed them. We've never utilized them. We've only ever heard they exist. And we have to now imagine. We have to imagine what heavenly possessions are like, when in fact, we have never seen an example of them. Not one demonstrated, not one shown, not one depicted, not in a single picture, not in a photograph, not in an imagined universe, nothing. There's never been anybody who said, well, listen, I don't actually have the full thing in my hand, but I have a picture of a heavenly possession. Not one, not a single depiction of a heavenly possession. So here we are being criticized for loving the earthly possessions that we have, for enjoying our phones, enjoying our internet, enjoying our cable TVs, enjoying our cars, enjoying our flights, enjoying our trips, enjoying the fruits of our education and our labor. These things are problematic. However, what we are told to do is to seek out heavenly possessions, and I'm happy to seek them out. But after decades, not one single depiction of a heavenly possession. Because in truth, earthly possessions are awesome. We have great technology, great and efficient transportation. We have endless technology at our fingertips, and so many new ways to make money. We have pictures of other planets and stars and galaxies and all kinds of stuff. We've seen these things. Whether you believe in them or not is irrelevant. What I'm saying is you've witnessed it. And all we have seen is that all over the galaxy, all over the universe, every single planet that we have looked at has nothing on it. Absolutely nothing on it. Not a building, not a shopping mall, not a cinema, not a restaurant, not a school, not a hospital. I mean, absolutely nothing on it. And yet, having witnessed these vast skies, and they got nothing for you. I'm telling you, you're going, for these people that want to go to Mars, there is nothing on Mars. Just let it go. Everything you want and love is down here on Earth with us. This is an absolute fact. And when we've compared what we have with other planets, we're killing them. We're killing them. We are thousands of years ahead of any other civilization or any other planet that we've seen. The only other thing that we've seen that surprises us is things like the sun that can generate a ton of energy. But other than that, there's nothing that can compare to us and what we have here on this planet. But yet we're being asked by the theologians to compare what we have here with heavenly possessions. And I accept that challenge, to be honest with you. Where we are now in 2026, I would happily accept the challenge of theologians to bring up the heavenly possessions and compare them to what we can do with our technology here on earth. I happily accept that challenge. But I tell you what, they will not accept it. They will absolutely not accept it because they can't stand up to what reality supplies. So based on this definition, and the actual real meaning of greed. How can you say that greed is a bad thing? How can having an intense and extreme desire for the things that you need and want to have to survive and to thrive in this world, on this earth, at this time, how can this be bad? This is a contradiction. Based on the definition, and we've analyzed the meaning of the definition in each word, and you're happy to go look at it for yourself and think about what each of these single words means in and of themselves so you can get the full understanding. A desire for something, especially wealth, power, and food. That's what greed is. I want money, I want respect, and I want food, and therefore I'm greedy. That doesn't ring bad to me. This is a lie. Indeed, I believe that I have not entirely proven, but I have demonstrated at least, based on the definition of the word itself, that greed is good. Greed is only bad for those who want to exploit others and gain from another's effort rather than achieving their own ends through their own efforts, through their own blood, and through their own sweat. And I can prove this. I said earlier this week that people only want to share things with people who have more than them. So the middle class and the lower income earners, they only want to share in earnest, and they only want to be equitable and equalized with millionaires and billionaires. They don't want to be equalized with lower income people. So the middle class doesn't want to be equalized with lower income people because that means that they're going to drop in terms of income and tax bracket. What they want is to be equalized with millionaires so that they go from $33,000 a year to somewhere in the range of $200,000 just by being equalized with a millionaire. Now you go up. That's not fair. Simultaneously, the people at the bottom, the low income earners, they would love nothing more than you suburban middle income earners to be equalized with them so that they can move from lower income to the middle class and live that suburban life where the people in the middle class, they want to go up to the yacht life. So it's never really about making sure that everybody is happy and okay. It's really about making sure that other people don't surpass you, which is another indication of surrender. It's never the millionaires and the billionaires that are crying out to the perennials, asking for them to pay for their existence, to come help me pay for my yacht. You've never heard a millionaire do a GoFundMe so he can go pay for his yacht. He's got to put in that time, that overtime, that extra time, every time. And if he wants that yacht, he's got to double up that time. And so should you. That's how it goes. What you don't do is you don't go and say, hey, I need everybody in the lower income to give me money so I can go buy my yacht and leave it in my villa in Spain. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. If you want to rise, you need to rise by yourself. Sharing is always a one-way street, and it's always one-way traffic. It's never reciprocated. Through observation, I can tell you honestly that I have deduced that there are only two participants in the argument of greed, or in the spectrum of greed. There are the givers and the takers. It is, or in other words, the providers and protectors, and on the other side, you have the receivers, and the ones who are constantly endangered, the paranoid. Exempli gratia, the knee benders, and the counterparts. The knee benders, they provide and they protect, or they claim to be able to provide and protect. They assert that they can provide and protect, and the counterpart is going to tell you straight to your face, my money is my money, your money is my money. And the knee bender will bend his knee and capitulate, and thereby he is now providing and protecting. This is called altruism, it's called sharing. You give them and they receive. And as long as the provider keeps providing, the receiver will participate in the romance wars. The irony here is while you are providing and protecting, you are indirectly funding your own demise. The more you pay, the more you buy, the more they can take from you in the divorce in the end. It's ironic like that. And even more ironic is how predictable that divorce is. But when a bender stops providing, or if you decide to be a bachelor and decide to never provide at all, those that have no capacity for accomplishment will label you as greedy and completely misuse the word. They will use it to connotate negative emotions and negative association with a word, quite frankly, that just means you want money, respect, and food. And they'll say, oh, you're greedy. Yeah, I would like some money, some respect, and some food. And I'm leaving because I'm losing my money on you. You disrespect me all the time, and you can't cook. Every time I eat your food, I either get fat, right? Or I don't enjoy it. It's just a lose all the time. So the greedy, they want money, they want respect, they want food. And if you stop providing to a counterpart, they're gonna call you greedy. What does that tell you? It means you're losing money, you're not getting your respect, and the food just isn't worth it. They've completely misused the word and associated emotions to something that, quite frankly, is a logical practice. When what they are really saying is that they don't know how to do what you do to be successful. And even if you showed them, they would just realize how difficult it is and just surrender because they don't have the capacity to accomplish it. They can't do what you do. So it's not just that they don't know how to do what you do, they also can't do it. This is true. They would only take the necessary steps to ensure their own success only if it was absolutely necessary. And that necessity usually comes from terrible, tragic, bad experiences. You see, experience, I always say, is the best teacher, but you have to be warned. Experience is a crude and cruel and terrible and dark teacher. If you want to learn from experience, you must expect tremendous amount of pain. Better for you to be a practitioner of the deceptive arts and learn through the wisdom and observations of the Grand Master and compare those wisdoms and observations with other things that you hear as you go along. And use that as your guide. Because if you want to learn through experience, I can promise you misery. But it's only after people realize that life is not a joke, and life is not a dream, and life is not a movie on a yacht, then and only then will they embrace the true joy and meaning of inward looking greed. and see how beneficial it is for them, as we will see for ourselves in today's article, which is entitled, Is Greed Good or Bad? And as we can see, greed is very good. Today's article is entitled, Is Greed Good or Bad? Subtitle, Are greedy people better off, or is too much greed harmful? This was posted, it says March 1st, 2024, not too long ago, by Professor Ronald E. Riggio. I apologize if I mispronounced your last name, doctor. And he is a PhD, I believe it's PhD in psychology, but I'm not certain. And it was reviewed by Tyler Woods. I believe Tyler Woods is a PhD or a PhD candidate, up there at the top of academia. This was from WebMD. I don't have the websites from here, but I do remember quite plainly it was from WebMD. So go ahead and check out their website. Very insightful stuff they have, and very well written articles, if I might say. It reads, for the most part, greed is considered by most religious, the theologians, and schools of thought, the philosophers, to be a bad thing, but we don't share their sentiments. In fact, greed is one of the seven deadly sins. Some economists, I don't like that, deadly sins. Some economists and evolutionary theorists, that's nice, you're an evolutionary theorist, however, suggest that greed is a good thing for stimulating the economy, and greed may give people an evolutionary advantage. More resources equals better chances of survival. Evolutionary theorist. I wonder what that means. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll look it up later, I suppose. But the evolutionary theorists, they seem to be onto something. They suggest that greed is a good thing for stimulating the economy. So greedy people, they make a lot of money, right? You have an intense desire for something. So you'll have an intense desire to make a lot of money for yourself. And greed may give people an evolutionary advantage. An evolutionary advantage. What does that mean? It means it makes you a better person, because having better resources means better chances of survival. Also mean better resources means you're able to do more things, more difficult things, more advanced things, and accomplish them. One success begets another success, right? So that's why you see people that become hyper successful very quickly, because one success leads to another success and leads to another success. So success opens doors. That's what they mean by success opens doors. So if you're successful at school, you get to go to university. If you're successful at university, you get to get a higher income job right out of school. You have the opportunity of doing that, right? And if you get a high income earning job with some responsibility at a young age, it means you get to build upper management skills very early on, which means your path and trajectory is up and up and up. It's really a rollover effect, right? It says recent research has explored the effects of the traits of greediness on economic and psychological outcomes. Greed is defined as an excessive and insatiable desire. I like that, insatiable. You cannot satisfy, insatiable, right? Unsatisfied. That desire can be for money, wealth, or power, respect, more things, tools, and even more intimacy and intimacy partners. It is tied to materialism, envy, and self interest. Yes, right? You do need to acquire material things. What else are you going to acquire? What else are you going? It's either material things or sustenance, food, and that kind of thing, right? So The thing is, though, materialism induces envy in people. So when you have nice things, people get jealous. Some people will get motivated and inspired, which means they are competitive, which means they are jealous, right? So, but most people will go straight to their jealousy itself, right? Sure, I suppose if you are greedy, you would have more intimacy. I don't see what greed has to do with more intimacy. I mean, people are having intimacy 100 times minimum a year, which is just twice a week. So, I mean, how much more? How much more? 3 times a week, maybe? Who knows? A recent study, Hoya et al., 2022, gave people a measure of trait greediness. Let me read that again. A recent study gave people a measure of trait greediness. Example items are below, and self interest, and asked about a number of outcomes. For example, income, number of intimacy partners, and satisfaction with life. The research suggests that greed and self interest, although correlated, are different constructs. Greed and self interest are different contracts. Let's read on. Here are some results simply looking at greed and outcomes. Interestingly, it says, okay, so what we just looked at is how they constructed the research, right? Which is why I just sped right through it, right? So they show us, they discuss the type of questions and sections that they would have discussed. But what we really want are the outcomes. So here are the results simply looking at greed and outcomes. Interestingly, now listen to this, males tend to be greedier than females, and older persons were less greedy than younger ones, right? Now, remember the definition that we gave of greed: an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, or food, right? So, yes, men would want money, but I would say that the counterpart wants your money. She wants her money and your money too, whereas you want to go and work for money, right? So I don't think that is the theft. I think that your money is my money and my money is my money. I think that's a theft. But me keeping my money and you keeping your own money, that's not a theft. That's not a theft. That's just life. That's just what life is. You wouldn't expect your father to give money to another man to raise his family while his own family is struggling here. No, you'd expect him to spend on his family, which would be right. So on the one hand here, they say that, okay, fine, the males are greedier than the females, and older persons were less greedier than young ones. I I suppose it depends on how old the old person is. But young people still have a lot of things to do and achieve in life. So they would be more ambitious. So they would be in, I would say, a more urgent need. Not to say that old people don't have urgent needs, but a more urgent need for things like money to acquire status, and to keep themselves sustained, the things that they need to sustain. While perhaps older people have had more time to acquire those things, your house, your car, your career. Those things will be relatively stable. And you would have probably traveled to more places too. So your need, your desire for these things is probably going to be less. The more you do them, the less you sort of need to do them, right? After some time, you start being repetitive. This is not to imply that repetitiveness is bad. It just means, for instance, when you've traveled enough times and you've seen enough places, what you really start to do is you start to go back to the places that you enjoy. So you start to go back more to the places that you like, rather than trying out new places. Not to imply that you won't, but you won't try them out too much. You'll just go to the things and do the things that you enjoy, rather than risking spending a ton of money on something, and then regretting it. So it says at the economic level, there was some evidence that greedy individuals had higher income than did less greedy individuals. Of course. So yes, of course, greedy people will have more money. It says right there in the definition an intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth. So, if you have an intense desire for wealth, doesn't it stand to reason that you will do the things that are required to get that wealth? You'll do that over time, that extra time every time. Absolutely. And this is helpful to the company, this is helpful to the economy. The more people that are willing to provide additional labor more than what they do every single day, the better the company is. So that extra hour of work is actually worth to the company, can be worth something like 3 or 4 regular hours, because they can get anyone to do those 3 or 4 regular hours, right? Those 8 hours during the day. But that 1 hour in the evening, that 1 hour on the weekend, and you're going to be doing 2 hours in the evening, by the way, and a whole 6 hours on Saturday minimum, and take Sunday off. You need one day to recover, right? And do this for 90 days, and then take a vacation for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to recuperate, right? But that extra hour is valuable to your company. I assure you. I assure you. Go and ask your employer if you can do some overtime, and you'll see they'll appreciate it. They'll absolutely appreciate it. So yes, it will improve your income. It will absolutely improve your income. In addition, greedy people had more intimacy partners. All of this suggesting that greed does in fact lead to people wanting and acquiring more. This is very interesting. Does this mean that when you are greedy, you go out and seek intimacy more, or do people find that greedy people are attractive? And I would say it's a combination of both. I would say that greedy people, if you have an intense desire for something, which is an intense desire for intimacy, then you will act in that way. You'll get fit, you'll look good, you'll go out in the evenings where people want desire and they want desirability, and they are looking for someone who is desirable. So you'll make yourself desirable, and then you'll go out in the evening where you will get that type of activity. This is one piece of advice that I would give to people who are looking for counterparts. You don't want to do that all the time, but if you really want to go find a counterpart, you need to go out at the time, right? So you need to know the time. The place is one thing, right? There's always a place, but you need to be, so if you want to get intimate activities in the evening, you want to be in those places at those times where the opportunity is. What you don't want to do is do it during the day, right? You don't want to do it during the day because people are working, people are focused, people are with their counterparts, they're with their knee benders, they're doing whatever they're doing. You want to wait until the opportune moment. So you can go to work and do whatever you need to do, and then at the right time, then go ahead and proceed, and chances are you'll be more successful than if you waste your time, right? And greedy people will know this. So it's not just that they're going out seeking more intimacy, they're doing it at the right time, at the right place, and under the best possible conditions, and thereby being successful. They are being efficient. And it's true with the money, and it's true with with the so-called power and success in other areas of life. So if you're going to be greedy, in other words, if you're going to have an intense desire to achieve something and acquire something, you need to be effective also so that you can be successful. And again, I suppose it's the success, right? It's the success that makes you attractive. People do find successful people attractive. So that, so when you're greedy and you get money and you get power and you give people something to eat, they may find that attractive. They may find that trait attractive in you, right? So you might not have other attractive traits, but you can feed them. That's attractive. Professor Reggio's article continues and he says, in terms of psychological outcomes, although greedy people had more, they expressed less satisfaction in life. Right? This is motivation. Right? So this is very true. So the more you desire for wealth, the more you desire for wealth. So the more you get, the more you want, the harder you work, the more successful. This is what I said, that one success begets another success. So the more money you have, the more things you can do. And the more things you can do, the more money you get. And the more money you get, the more things you can do. The more places you can go, the more opportunities you get to get more money. And this is really how it goes. So what you find is that people who achieve the success that they went for, they just get motivated to want to achieve more. This is why successful people keep working and keep working. That success motivates them, right? That previous success drives them to want to do a better success. And it's the same principle that we practice in the deceptive arts with secrecy. One secret is going to lead you to getting another secret and another secret and another secret. Then you have to keep those secrets. And those secrets will motivate you and strengthen your resolve and give you more meaning to that deceptive game when you use the divine manipulation of the thread. It's the secrets that you keep. That's what's going to keep you strong. That's what's going to keep you planted right in the deceptive arts and keep them ready for you, dormant, just latent, waiting for you to utilize that deception at the right possible time. And it's the same principle here. One success begets another success. One secret always leads to another secret. Eventually, what you will become is just a well, a deep, dark well of secrets where every drop of water can ripple into another secret and another secret and another pattern of secrets. You'll be incredible. I believe in you. Let's continue. Another interesting finding was that greedy individuals tended to have shorter lasting relationships and fewer children. I can accept that. Yeah, the children thing, that's not happening. That's not happening. Get a vasectomy. I'm glad they brought that up. Get a vasectomy, guys. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Let's not forget what this whole thing is about. This is really the greediest thing you can do. That's right up my lane. So yes, I'm absolutely greedy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. Every relationship is short lasting. Maybe they did use the qualifier here, shorter lasting relationships. I'll accept that. But every relationship is bound to end anyway, which makes it, short lasting. So, but maybe more frequently, maybe more quantity of these relationships? Sure. Fewer children? That's what I'm about. I'm all about no children at all. So get your vasectomy, guys. This article, very, very well written. Thank you, Professor. Maybe the Beatles were right. Money can't buy you love, says Money and Greed in parenthesis. What are some indicators that a person is greedy? Here are some items from various measures of trait greed. Let me read that again. Here are some items from various measures of traits of greed. I suppose he meant to say stronger agreement with these statements indicates higher levels of greed. So let's do this together. Let's do this together. So what this means is this is a very common psychological practice. He gives us 8 statements, right? And if you agree with these statements, the stronger your level of agreement, the higher your level of greed. And if you disagree or you agree less, then the lower your level of greed. So agree, greedy, disagree, not greedy. So let's do it. Number 1, as soon as I have accomplished something, I start to think about the next thing I want. This is true for me. This is true for me. As soon as I'm done with this recording this video, I'm going to think of something else to do. In fact, I already have a few things lined up that I want to discuss. Sometimes I end up discussing things that I meant to discuss in another video, and I just end up bringing it all into one video. And then because there's so many things that I really want to talk about in terms of the bachelor life. I mean, today I was just thinking about some great historical figures that were bachelors, that paved the way, whose names will be familiar to you, but they've sort of been left behind in history, and I think we could give them some credit on this channel. Things like this. I'm always like this. So yes, I'm greedy. My life motto is more is better. More is better. I like that. I do like that. More is better. Of course, I agree with this also. Mine is self before society. I think the Bachelor Creed, but more is better. We can include that. It depends on more of what. But more things, yes. More people, not so much. It defies the purpose of the bachelor life. So maybe I won't go with number 2. I'm not going with more is better. More money, yes. More things, yes. But still, self before society. That's where we stand. 3, the pursuit of more and better is an important goal in life for me. More money for me, I would say. Really more money for me. For me, this is how I think of it in terms of time. You trade time for money. So what you want is to see your bank account grow up. So your savings, right? I'm all about the savings, and for good reason. What you want to see in your bank account is you want to see your savings go up with the passage of time, so you don't feel like you're wasting time. It's one thing to buy things as you go along. So as you save up, then you can buy expensive things and you can have the value of those things while you lose tremendous money. But as you go along, you want to see that bank account grow, right? You want to see that bank account grow. Now, some people, they believe in investing to make your bank account grow. And I'm going to ask you one question. What are you going to invest? Not what are you going to invest in. I know you're going to buy stocks of some kind, a company of some kind, a product of some kind. Yes. But what are you investing? If you're going to invest money, then I'm going to ask you where you're going to get that money from. Because there's 2 ways you can get the money. You can borrow the money or you can work for the money. And I suggest you can do both. I suggest you work as hard as you can and save as much as you can, so that if you have to borrow, you have to borrow less, because they're going to smack you with that interest. And you're going to struggle to make that interest back. You might make the profit back, but that interest the interest is going to sit on your neck forever. So work and save, work and save, work and save, and then invest what you've saved. It's a long term strategy, it takes time, but think of it like this: if you borrow that money, how long is it going to take you to pay it off? So time is of the essence, but so is the money. And then even if you borrow money and you build your company, when you make money from that company, what are you going to do with that money? You're going to save it. So it always comes down to savings. Even if you borrow 10 million and you build a hotel, and that hotel is profitable and it starts making money, what do you and then you pay off the debt. And you pay off the debt. And what do you do with the money after you've paid off the debt? Yes, you can invest that money. Yes, you can borrow more money, but eventually you're going to have to save money. To indicate that you have cash, to indicate that you are successful financially, you're going to need to save money. This is true of every person, every individual, every corporation. If you don't have cash, you don't have nothing, man. If all you have is debt, you don't have nothing. You need that cash money, that paper money, that money. Stocks is not money. Investments are not money. Education is not money. Money is money. Money. You know what I'm talking about? Get the money. Focus on the money. Let's continue. When something is being shared, I try to get as big a share as possible. This was true in my initial stages, in my younger years as a bachelor, but now what I do is I don't even participate in the sharing. So if there's something going on, with dividing money of some kind, or there's a meal of something like that that needs to be shared, I will just take whatever is being given and then go ahead and do my own thing. I'm always doing my own thing. Always doing my own thing. It used to frustrate my mother. She'd be like, why aren't you doing what the other people are doing? Because I'm not the other people, right? So I'm always doing my own thing. So as a result, I'm okay with everybody sharing what they're sharing. I'm going to take what it is that I can get and be on my way. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to go ahead and do what I'm going to do, right? This I find is the best way. Just do your own thing and keep 100% on what you make. If your skills are good enough, if your talent is good enough, if you're competitive enough and consistent enough and focused enough, and your product, you got the right product in the right market at the right time, who knows what can happen? Who knows what can happen? But if you're waiting on other people, you never know. Number 5 is one can never have too much money. Correct. 6, my actions are strongly focused on material things. No, not so much the material things. There are some material things that I need for sure. So I do demand of myself at least a livable place, a comfortable place, that's well lit and clean. I like to see. I do demand of myself my own transportation. So whether I'm flying, if I have the money, I'll buy a business class ticket. But if I don't, I'll happily fly economy. But I'll usually try to stay in a nice hotel. I'll skimp on the flight, but not the hotel. You can't do both. You really can't do both. You can't have a bad flight and a bad hotel, right? That's just terrible. But other than those feature compass, I guess, I mean, I do need things, but not more, right? Not more. For me, it's really money, right? It's the money that I'm worried about. It's the time that really concerns me, right? Because I'm spending a lot of time practicing this craft, quite frankly, being repetitive. And I'm not talking about this platform. I'm here for completely different reasons here. I'm talking about in terms of my work, my job, my real job. Yes, I have a job. It's the time along with the effort that you spend that at the end of it, you want to see that you have something to show for it. That's really what it is. It's about having something to show for the time and the effort that you spend and that you give in. And the best indicator of that is money. Appreciation, a very close second, but not so close after all. Right? Approval, not so good. But money, perfectly fine every time. So my actions are not really focused on material things. When it comes to material things, I think I go more for functionality. I like having really good tools that are functional and reliable and comfortable and intuitive to use. Quality, of course, matters in those tools, but no, I mean, I had a watch collection once, believe it or not, when watch collections were still in fashion. Yeah, this may have been some time ago. And then I ended up selling it, and what I realized was, I don't care what they tell you guys, these expensive watches, they don't sell for what you think they're gonna sell for. People are going to buy them, but people are hesitant to buy high-end watches. And even if it's real, you're not going to get the value that you think you're going to get, right? It's a tremendous scam. It's a tremendous scam. But I did sell them, and I realized the scam, and I can tell you that watch collections, car collections, these are not real things, right? You make a collection of things that you intend to keep, not things that you intend to sell. And I think this was my problem. This is my problem with material things. Electronics are completely different. Electronics, they always have an intrinsic value. So things like computers, fridges, microwaves, even a kettle, you can resell that. There's always somebody that needs a kettle, a toaster, whatnot, a blender, food mixer, and so forth. So those things you can always sell. But things that are just stuff, I try to avoid that for the reason that they don't have a really good resale value. So the example that I'm gonna give, is that when I sold the watches, and there were some really nice watches, Armani and whatnot. When I sold those watches, I sold a PlayStation 4 along with it, and I got more money from the PlayStation than I got from the watches. So just keep that in mind. You'll make more money. And this was after the PlayStation. This was a PlayStation 4, and I was on my way to buy a PlayStation 5 and upgrade the whole system. And I sold the PlayStation 4, and I got more money from the PlayStation 4 than I did for the entire watch collection, like double. It was shocking. It was shocking how much more I got for the PlayStation, and how little value these watches really held in the end. So money comes first. Material stuff, not so much. I guess I am greedy in just a pure way. Our next sentence is, I can't imagine having too many things. I can imagine having too many things. There's a certain amount of things that I think I would need to make myself comfortable, just a little bit more than that. But there's a limit. I have a limit to the amount of things that I need. I like high quality things. So I'd much rather have a quality product that I know will stand the test of time in terms of not just function but optics. So I know it's still gonna look good in a few years' time and still function at a high level. So I'd much rather go for that than have many little things that I have to put together and tear apart. I'm really not like that. I'm all for comfort and intuitive ease of use. So I don't want to struggle to use something when I'm already struggling because I want to create. I want to just be able to create. So when I record, I want it to record. I don't want to have to do something to make it record because I'm already recording, and that's effort enough, right? So yeah, you can have too many things. I feel like you can have too many things. You can have too many things in the way that it stops you from being effective and productive. So the skill really is not to have too many useless things that may or may not be used. The skill is to have a few quality things that can do many high end functions repetitively over a long period of time. Then you can, this is what it means to have good tools. It's like having a good set of spies. What you don't need is a million bad spies when 50 to 100 will do, right? 50 to 100. I mean, you can't trust a spy, but they always deliver the information, the evidence, the things that you need to have power as you function, right? So, what you don't need is a million spies that are full of rumors. You need a handful of spies that produce evidence, right? So, this is what I'm talking about, not quantity, but quality. And the last one is even when I'm fulfilled, I often seek more. Yes, yes. This is what I was saying. One success begets another success. One door, one successful task opens the door to you being able to do another successful task, and so forth and so on. So I find that myself, once I have done something and I'm satisfied and I feel that I've done it well, I may very well, you know, want to go more, right? So, so even if I'm satisfied with the job that I've done, I will still want to, just out of curiosity, right? Curiosity is never ending. How much further can I go? What more can I do? What can I do next? Can I improve? That curiosity is ambition, and that ambition is never ending. So more is the number. More is the number. It's natural. It's natural, and I can demonstrate it in nature. Look at look at a tree. Look at a tree that an apple tree, right? You only need to plant that apple tree one time, and every season that apple tree will produce hundreds, sometimes thousands of apples. Just every season, just pumping out these apples, just pumping out these apples, right? And it gets better at doing it, it becomes regular at doing it, it becomes successful at doing it. When you take those apples, thousands and thousands of apples, and you open them inside, what you'll find is a seed, two seeds, three seeds, however many seeds. Each one of those seeds has the same capacity for life and function as the other apple. So you can plant each one of those seeds and produce thousands of apple trees. And each one of those apple trees will produce thousands of apple trees. Every year, one apple tree is able to produce millions of apple seeds and apple trees over a lifetime, right? So even if you're doing the same task, the same skill, you can always do it better. You can always do it again. So if you do something again, that adds to the number of times you've done it, right? So think of like like a basketball player. Every year that he plays, every game that he plays adds to the record, right? So his record gets better and better, even though he keeps doing the same thing. And the same thing has to be true with your money. Every month that you work, that record has to get better and better and better. And we focus on savings. Savings, your savings have to go up. Your savings have to go up. When you get into the habit of savings, you need to have joy in your savings. It's not the income alone, it's the savings, right? It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And we are playing the game of savings. So invest in your company, get the profit. When you get that profit, save it. That's your money, right? That's real money. That's cash money. So, yes, that's true. And it says in the bottom, so is greed good or bad? It depends. It really does depend. I was expecting to agree with all of these statements. I surprised myself when I disagreed and gave a different perspective. So I guess to some extent, some things I am greedy with, some things I'm not so greedy with. Perhaps I'm just a normal man after all. It depends. It really does depend. This is correct. While greed might lead to financial security, it doesn't seem to be very good for relationships, I agree, or for one's happiness and well being. Greed, the connotation of the word greed, is terrible for relationships. But in truth, wouldn't you want to be with somebody who has the capacity for income? Wouldn't you want to be with somebody who has the capacity to have food, or somebody who has the capacity to be taken seriously and have influence? Someone that you take seriously, right? So I guess he's right. It does depend. It does really depend. It could be good in one way and not so good in another. My perspective, for my purposes, I think greed is very good. I think having an intense desire to achieve something, anything, it makes you motivated and determined to be successful. But I really think that taking the perspective that we're looking at this openly, and in a way where people can make their own minds up, because we looked at the colloquial expression of what greed is, and then we look at the theological expression of what greed is. And of course, I assessed it from the perspective of a vasectomite, and to me, it comes out that greed is actually quite good. But who can say? Who can say if you have kids or a counterpart, and you're cohabitating, you may be faced with the negative connotations of the what the word greed implies, right? And quite frankly, they'd be right, because you did that to yourself. You should have just went and got a vasectomy, right? But yes, this is the end of the video. Please go get a vasectomy, guys. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. This is the philosophy. This is the move. I am the Ancient One. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for your attention. I really appreciate it, and I always will. Have a nice day.